I never thought one sentence could change my entire life. But the night she looked me in the eyes and said, "I just want freedom," everything inside me shifted. At first, I didn't even understand what she meant. Freedom from what? Freedom from who? She didn't look trapped. She looked desperate. And desperate people don't always tell the full truth. See, I wasn't supposed to get involved. She was just someone close to me, someone who carried too many secrets for her own good. And I thought the best thing I could do was give her space. But the more she pulled away, the more I noticed things I couldn't ignore. The way her hands shook when her phone buzzed. The fake smile she forced when people asked how she was doing. And the way her sister, always watching from the corner of the room, seemed to know something the rest of us didn't. That's where it all began. With two sisters, one crying out for freedom, and the other hiding a truth I wasn't ready to face. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't looking for drama. I wasn't looking to get caught in the middle of family secrets. But sometimes, trouble doesn't knock. It kicks the door open and drags you inside before you realize what's happening. And once I stepped into their world, there was no going back. The first time I heard her whisper the word freedom, she said it like it was forbidden. Like even saying it out loud might get her punished. That shook me. Because how do you help someone who can't even admit what they're running from? I told myself I would keep my distance, that I wouldn't dig any deeper. But then her sister got involved. And that's when things started to twist in ways I never saw coming. At first, her sister seemed protective, like she wanted the best for her. But you know that feeling you get when something looks right on the surface, but deep down your gut is screaming that it's wrong? That's exactly what it was like. Every smile felt a little too forced. Every hug lingered just a little too long. And the way she looked at me, like I was part of some game she had already decided how to play, made me realize I was standing on dangerous ground. I kept asking myself, who was really telling the truth here? The sister begging for freedom, or the sister pretending nothing was wrong? The more I searched for answers, the more the lines blurred. And then came the moment that changed everything. One late night, I got a message that wasn't meant for me. A message that wasn't supposed to exist. And from that point on, there was no way to walk away clean. Because what she really wanted, and what her sister really wanted from me, were two completely different things. And if I made the wrong choice, I wouldn't just lose them both. I could lose myself. Her name was Lila. She was the kind of girl who could light up a room without even trying. But if you looked closely, you could see the shadows in her eyes. The first time we met, I thought she was just shy, maybe even guarded. But later I realized it wasn't shyness. It was survival. Her sister, Maya, was the opposite. Outgoing, confident, always in control. Maya had this way of making everyone feel like they were safe around her. People trusted her instantly. I did too at first. And maybe that's why I didn't notice how much Lila leaned away whenever Maya walked into the room, like a flame shrinking back from the wind. The three of us weren't always in each other's lives. I met them through a mutual friend at a gathering. Lila barely spoke that night, while Maya filled every silence with her sharp wit and easy charm. Most people would have remembered Maya. But me? I couldn't stop noticing the way Lila avoided eye contact, like she was carrying words she wasn't allowed to speak. Over time, I got closer to both of them, though in very different ways. With Lila, our conversations were quiet, fragile things. She'd open up in little pieces, like she was afraid the wrong word would shatter the moment. With Maya, it was the opposite. She pulled me into her world with laughter and boldness, like she wanted to make sure I never looked anywhere else. But here's the thing. When people live under the same roof, when they share the same blood, you expect them to be alike in some way. Lila and Maya? They weren't just different. They were almost opposites. And that made me wonder, how could two sisters grow up side by side, yet carry such different energy? It wasn't until months later that I started seeing the cracks. Lila would disappear for hours without telling anyone where she was going. Sometimes she came back with red eyes, like she'd been crying. Other times, she'd show up wearing a smile so fake it hurt to look at. And whenever I tried to ask, Maya was always there with an excuse. She's fine, don't worry. Or worse, she's just dramatic. The more I tried to understand, the more it felt like I was standing in the middle of a story I wasn't being told. And maybe that's exactly what it was, a story both sisters knew, but neither wanted me to hear. Then one night, Lila finally broke the silence. She didn't tell me everything. She didn't have to. She just looked at me with trembling hands and whispered that word, freedom. And I swear to you, the way she said it, it wasn't just a wish. It was a plea. But here's the part that kept me awake long after that night. Maya knew. She always knew. And if Lila wanted out, I had the sinking feeling Maya was ready to do whatever it took to keep her in. After that night, everything between us shifted. Lila's word, freedom, echoed in my head like a warning bell I couldn't silence. But the more I tried to reach her, the more tangled things became. She'd pull me aside in stolen moments, her voice low, eyes darting around like someone might be listening. Sometimes she'd hint at things, half-finished sentences that only raised more questions. You don't know what it's like living here. Or, Maya doesn't let me, before she'd shut down, biting her lip as if she'd already said too much. And then, almost as if she could sense Lila drifting toward me, Maya would appear. Always at the right moment. Always with that practiced smile that never quite reached her eyes. She'd laugh, joke, touch my arm like it was nothing. But her gaze, sharp, calculating, told me she knew exactly what was happening. That's when the conflict really started to take root. Because I couldn't tell anymore who needed me more, or who was telling the truth. One night, Maya cornered me in the kitchen. Everyone else was asleep, the house dark except for the glow of the fridge light. She leaned against the counter, her tone casual, but her words cut deep. Don't get too close to Lila. She has tendencies. She twists things, makes people feel sorry for her. Don't let her drag you into that. I wanted to believe Maya. She was convincing, steady, confident. But then I remembered the fear in Lila's eyes, the way her voice cracked when she asked for freedom. Those weren't the tears of someone making up stories. The more time I spent with them, the more the ground beneath me shifted. Lila begging me to trust her. Maya warning me not to. Two sisters pulling me in opposite directions, each insisting the other was the problem. And me? I was caught between them, unsure if I was saving someone or being played. Then came the breaking point. Lila slipped a folded note into my hand when Maya wasn't looking. Just one sentence, written in shaky letters. If you really care, meet me tomorrow night. Don't tell Maya. My chest tightened as I read it, because in that moment I realized something terrifying. No matter what choice I made, one of them was going to turn against me. The next day felt like it lasted a lifetime. Every hour ticked by heavier than the last, my mind racing with what that note meant. What did Lila want to tell me that she couldn't say in front of her sister? And why did it feel like, the moment I read her words, I'd already crossed a line I couldn't uncross? By the time night fell, my chest was tight with nerves. I told myself maybe it was nothing. Maybe she just needed someone to listen. But deep down, I knew this was bigger. Much bigger. When I got to the meeting spot, a small park near their house, Lila was already there, pacing in the shadows. Her face lit up when she saw me, but not with relief. More like panic. She grabbed my wrist before I could even say a word. You came, she whispered, eyes darting left and right. I didn't think you would. Her grip was trembling. I asked what was going on, why she couldn't just tell me at home. And that's when her voice cracked. Because she listens. She always listens. Even when you think she isn't. The way she said she sent a chill straight down my spine. Before I could push for answers, there was the sound of footsteps. Lila froze, pulling me deeper into the shadows. For a second, I thought maybe it was just someone passing by. But then a figure emerged under the dim streetlight, Maya. She wasn't supposed to know. She couldn't have known. Yet there she was, calm, collected, holding her phone like she'd been tracking us the whole time. Lila's hand tightened around mine. Don't say anything, she whispered, barely breathing. Maya's voice sliced through the silence. I knew it. The way she looked at me, it wasn't anger. It was something colder. Like she had expected this all along. Like we were playing a game, and I had just moved exactly where she wanted me. Lila stepped forward, shaking. Maya, please. Just let me go. I can't do this anymore. Maya's smile was sharp, almost pitying. You think he's going to save you? You think anyone will? The air between them was electric, years of unspoken words crashing to the surface. I stood frozen, caught in the storm of two sisters tearing each other apart with nothing but their eyes. I opened my mouth to say something, to break the tension, but before I could, Maya pulled something from her jacket pocket. It wasn't a weapon. It was worse. It was a folded piece of paper. She held it out, her gaze locked on me. If you really want to know the truth, she said slowly, read this. Lila's face went pale. She shook her head violently. Don't look at it. Please. And in that instant, I realized I wasn't just caught between two sisters. I was about to uncover something that would change everything I thought I knew about them. The paper was in her hand. My heart was in my throat. And just as I reached out to take it, my fingers brushed the edge of the folded paper. But before I could open it, Lila snatched it from Maya's hand and tore it in half. Her voice cracked like glass. He doesn't need to know. You'll ruin everything. Maya didn't even flinch. She just stared at her sister, calm as ever, and whispered, he deserves the truth. More than you ever did. I stood frozen, torn between them, when something slipped out of the torn paper and fluttered to the ground. A photograph. I bent down, and when I picked it up, the air left my lungs. It was me, standing with Lila. But the photo wasn't taken tonight. It was taken weeks ago. From behind trees, from the shadows. Someone had been following us, watching us. My skin prickled as I looked at Maya. She didn't deny it. She just tilted her head, that same knowing smile on her lips. But before I could ask anything, Lila blurted out words that froze my blood. She doesn't want you to save me. She wants you for herself. The words hung in the air like a knife. She wants you for herself. Maya didn't deny it. She actually laughed, low and bitter, like Lila had just told the punchline of a cruel joke. You really think I'd go through all this for him? Maya's voice dripped with venom. No, Lila. This isn't about him. This is about you. She stepped closer, her eyes narrowing. You've always been the fragile one, the victim, always needing someone else to fight your battles. You wanted freedom? Fine. Tell him the truth, then. Tell him what you did. Lila shook her head violently, tears streaming. Don't. Please, Maya. My pulse thundered in my ears. What truth? I demanded. Maya's gaze locked on me, and for the first time, I saw something in her eyes that wasn't control, it was pain. She's not running from me. She's running from herself. Lila collapsed to her knees, sobbing. Stop it. Don't make me. Tell him, Maya hissed. The world tilted as Lila finally looked up, her face broken. I'm the one who's been following us. I took the pictures. Not her. The ground dropped out from under me. All this time, the fear, the secrecy, it wasn't Maya watching. It was Lila. Maya's expression softened, just for a moment. I wasn't trapping you, Lila. I was protecting you, from yourself. My chest tightened as the pieces fell into place. Lila wasn't just asking for freedom from Maya. She was begging for freedom from the truth she couldn't face. And yet, even then, with the photo still trembling in my hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still missing. Because if Lila had been the one following us, then why? Why did Maya still look like she was holding on to one last secret? Silence. That's all I heard after Lila's confession. Just the sound of her broken sobs and the distant hum of the streetlights above us. My mind spun in circles, replaying every moment, every warning, every glance that suddenly made sense. Lila hadn't been afraid of Maya. She had been afraid of herself. I crouched down beside her, the torn photograph still trembling in my hand. Why, Lila? My voice cracked. Why follow us? Why hide it? Her shoulders shook. Because I thought if I watched, if I kept proof, maybe I could understand what was wrong with me. Why I couldn't let go. Why I felt trapped. It wasn't Maya. It was me. I just didn't want to be alone with it. Maya stepped closer, her face softening in a way I had never seen before. I wasn't trying to keep her locked in, she said quietly. I was trying to keep her safe. She spirals. She doesn't trust anyone, not even herself. And I knew if I told you, she'd feel betrayed. I looked between the two sisters, realizing how wrong I'd been. I thought I was caught between one sister's cry for freedom and the other's grip of control. But the truth was far more fragile. One was crying for help, and the other was breaking herself trying to hold it all together. Slowly, I helped Lila to her feet. She was trembling, but for the first time, she didn't look away. She faced Maya, eyes red but steady. I don't want to run anymore, she whispered. I don't want to hide. Maya's lip trembled. Then let me help you. For real this time. The air between them shifted. No anger, no games, just two sisters finally standing on the same side, even if the road ahead was uncertain. I knew then that my part in their story wasn't to choose sides. It was to be a witness, to remind them they weren't alone in the fight. Because freedom doesn't always mean escaping someone else. It sometimes means facing the battles inside yourself. As the three of us walked back together, I felt the weight of the night still pressing on my chest. But there was also something lighter, a strange kind of hope. And yet, as we reached their house, Maya paused at the door. She looked at me, her expression unreadable, and said, almost in a whisper, "There are things you still don't know. But for now, let this be enough." Her words sent a chill down my spine. Because even though the truth about Lila had come out, I couldn't shake the feeling that Maya was still guarding something. Maybe some stories don't end in neat answers. Maybe they end in questions we aren't ready to ask.